welcome, right here behind me, Mike Heffernan on the keyboard.
They want me to, part of the deal is that we're supposed to talk about stuff that happened during our tenure with Gord. I go back to 1981 with these guys. I haven't done the math lately, but I think it's over 40, I want to talk about the first gig I did with them, and that was at a place called the Mill Run Theater in Chicago. And what was significant about this, other than it was my first gig, was that this was when I was going to be introduced to their method of travel, which was private jet. And I wasn't crazy about flying in the first place. I mean, I got to tell you, after flying for a while in the private jet, getting on Air Canada was like a bus. Really, I got to describe this. When it takes off, it's like being shot out of a cannon. And these guys, I don't think that they file a flight plan. What they do is plot a trajectory, I think. The wings are so little, there just can't be any lift to it, But anyways, it works. It did work, yes. I mean, we're still here after countless flights. But anyways, we got to Chicago on American Airlines because there was something happening with the jet. Was in maintenance or something, I don't know. And it came and picked us up after we were there for 3 days, and it came and picked us up. So, and we met the pilots. It was Neil and Brian, and we got to know fairly well for the next couple of years. Anyways, I thought there was something happening here. I made the mistake of telling guys I was a little bit afraid of flying, so. No way they were going to make this easy for me. So they have this thing that the guys were calling a power descent, which it really isn't. There's no power. Gravity works very well for descent. And it's an emergency procedure that I guess they thought was kind of fun. I knew that I got the wind that this was going to happen. So a friend of mine who lived in Springfield, Illinois, I had him come up and bring me drugs that would make it okay. Without getting specific. And so, here's what happened. So we're going along, and the jet does this thing where the nose sort of goes up a little bit, and you hear the power, which, that the roar of those engines is very reassuring. When it cuts out, it's, what? So the nose sort of went up a little bit, and then it went down. And it's the pilots practice this thing. It's a fairly safe procedure. It's meant for when decompression happens because there's no oxygen up there, so they have to get down to a lower altitude. Anyways, the tricky part is coming out of it. It's like a roller coaster ride. And anyway, so it all happened, and they were looking over at me to see how scared I was. And, I could have slept through it because these drugs were really good. The situation came up about a year later. We were flying back from somewhere in the U.S. and Gord was sitting in front of me, and he said, "We want to do a power descent, okay, but everybody's got to be okay with this, or we're not going to do it." So everybody was okay, and he got to me, and I said, "No, of course not. This plane is for getting from A to B. That's all. Let's not have fun with it. As musicians, we don't have a real great track record for this kind of thing." Anyways, so I knew he wasn't pleased, but but this is when I found out that this band was not a democracy. He said, "We're going to do it anyway." So he sent Terry up, guitar player at the time, to the cockpit to tell the pilots we're going to do this. Now I was unprepared. I didn't know this was going to happen. So I had to do this without the benefit of of drugs, you know, some, wow, you know, this was my face was like this. Getting all these G's going. Anyways, we lived through it. I couldn't help but think that, isn't this stuff tracked on the radar? Aren't they wondering why we're doing an emergency thing when there's no emergency? But anyways, that was my introduction to the band, and I thought, if I can do this, if I can blast through this whole deal with a small plane, then I can make this work. And I did. 41 years I spent. Anyways, we don't have to do that anymore. I hope.
I haven't seen a private jet yet.
Thanks, folks.